we are. We are live. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Millett. This is the quarantine stream. This is the 30th one. And it's time for us to hear the ever lovely, ever beautiful, evergreen quarantine stream theme. Beautiful. All right. This is, I did not write this. This was written many years ago by Charles Allison. And not to sound snotty or anything, but the creative continuum that I'm a part of doesn't really have much of a place right now. And I do not see that many reflections of it. So I do my best to uphold it and honor it and perhaps, maybe push it forward. Maybe. But at any rate, this is a really beautiful piece by Charles Olson. That the Fugs, great Fugs, with Ed Sanderson, Julie Kupferberg, and Ken Weaver, among others, turned into a song. So it's called "I Want to Know." We drink or break open our veins solely to know. Hunger drives me onward to feel all of the skin. The thrill of the knowing has me out of my brain. I want to know. Into our eyes, hundreds of flashes cause us to feel the life in the sky. I want to know. We drink or break open our veins solely to know. I want to know. I want to know. Please let me know. I want to know. I want to know. This is called Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, and a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you, but I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red. And the names of everyone there exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door. Dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. Quarter-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge, while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity. And for proof, you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true, but I trust that will get worked out by you. called 1+1. Already cleared toward the light, already prepared for existence and time. 7 times belonging to a cosmic happening, 7 times occurring for what's already there. It's a pin-step balance already in place, without having to chant or petition for deliverance. Already inside of your mind is what's real, already away from a one-note idol, already tested under the subconscious. Everything you know will eventually be revealed. I wrote this in 1993. It's from my first book. It's called Pool. Your love brings me peace. Your beauty brings me fantasy. Your thoughts bring me reality. Our love, so naked and pure, of the dirt, of the clouds. Your strength gives me courage. Your dreams complete mine. Our circle, forever revolving. Called Milky Skies. Excuse me. A sip of water. So actually, before I read Milky Skies, I'm going to talk about something that made a big impression upon me many years ago. If any of you are aware of the singer Richie Havens, I was lucky enough to have met him, seen him perform, and meet him twice. And it was a huge honor. Once, but the first time was 1999, I think, 98 or 99, and then the second time was 2001. It was maybe November or December of 2001, and the 2001 performance was, of course, just after 9/11, and this was at a time when America was at its most hardline, hawkish, jingoistic, and people like myself were afraid to say much of anything. Not so much afraid, that's maybe not the right way to put it. I think that people like myself were trying to leave room for people to grieve and to process, and understanding that thirst for revenge and jingoism and all of that was going to be a part of that process. And but we didn't, there's not many people included in that we didn't really process it, because I think people like myself, I think immediately went into a place of just fear. For one thing, the immediate, will there be more? But more terrorist attacks on the country, but also oh my God, there's this person in the White House that's really fucking dangerous. And all the people around him are really fucking dangerous. And during the performance, Richie Havens wept. He was talking about the, the 9/11 essentially kicking off a cycle of violence that was going to be very, very bad, and that we as a country were already engaged in, and were clearly ramping up for more. And he wept, and it was a small crowd, maybe 200-300 people, maybe, and there was this weird sort of shock of this sort of odd moment where we all looked at each other in the crowd. People were sort of realizing that it was it was okay to feel this, and it was okay to say these things, like we could talk openly. And for the first time ever, we didn't. For the first time since 9/11, we didn't have to sort of navigate the emotions of somebody. And I mean, it was, it felt like 99.2% of the population felt one way, and then there was this tiny little, and and I talked with him afterwards, and I've been thinking a lot lately about what a truly what um, an incredible thing that is, because he's gone now, and that I got to meet him and talk about these things. That is extraordinary. And these he just planted these incredible seeds. And it's I there's that phrase, it's about comedians. It's one thing to make people laugh, it's another thing to make people smile or leave people smiling. And that's what Richie Havens brought. And he was just so generous and gracious in the brief times that I got to speak with him. But the stuff that he talked about, uh, it's really beautiful, and just something I'm extremely thankful for as I have gone on in my life and gone and done all the things that I do. So, um, I'm really thankful to have some of these things that have happened in my life. So, that's the sort of stuff that I've been thinking a lot about lately. With that in mind, very long introduction. This is Milky Skies. For 3 weeks, I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration, with my sense of decency tested. I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions, only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back, adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose, or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way, and he falls back gently, lands on his hands, while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt washed when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulder and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies. And now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies. With 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby wrapped in grade, hardened plastic. Here she flies, with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old western silently. Here she flies, while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water, and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies with skin like marble over winding staircases and rooms with seafoam colored walls and intimidating machinery. Gonna do one from way back. How we doing out there connection-wise? Doing okay? Beautiful. All right. This is called Yes. The soundscapes fly from dusk, sterility restricted to their thoughts. Bleak as the day they were born. The concrete is in a state of flux, and the forest lies under a soiled blanket of lucid dreams. Pale-faced disintegration in the awestruck, penniless geometric cluster and its meaningless tradition. For some quiet, they'd drink shattered glass. For some peace, they'd murder a stillborn baby. Savages behind closed doors, but who commits treason and defines what's pure? With the precise rhythms and headache medicine, memories seep through like blood under a fingernail. We never know when it's finished. The wave just rides. Preface to manifest slavery, entire chapters to write, planets of aliens to conceive. We never know when it's finished. The wave just rides. Cool. This is called Water. Water, 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 water. It would be good if motion could evaporate and then solidify into a form we view in flux, or be on course to be boundless, and sing of the sea, aiming a voice at the sky. Never again I'd read a tattered sign. My body no longer closed in the folds of dirt and clay, but wind-blown and awake, seeing droplets and rivers become oceans and lakes. The salt darting through the air ends my hunger. It cleans the shore and surprises its permanent structure as the molecules become lighter and smaller. Dance on the water, woman and man. Thou shalt have a boat. Thou shalt save a fish. Thou shalt be steering when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a vision up in the crow's nest. Dance in the water, woman and man. Dance in the water. Dance for the birds. Dance for the wind. Dance for everyone on land. Thou shalt see the king before the revolt. Thou shalt find a partner, one to love and to hold. Man will be woman and woman will be man. Dance in the water to the perch and to the sand. I once lived on the Salisbury Plain. We'd come from Ireland and only ate grain. We changed their battle hymns and substituted our names, and we sang boldly, "We shall rule the waves. Never, 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 never shall we become slaves." We sailed the Pacific fighting equinoctial gales. We felt liberated by the sight of sharks, storms, and whales. We gathered strength and survived the death of Captain McHahey, for we would have been despised by his ghost if we stopped facing the sea. Now we're outward bound toward the Gulf, to the Indies and back around. We'll gather gifts wherever we dock, and when we're headed homeward, we'll bring silver galore and a Persian cat and a camel fur, and you won't wear those cast-offs no more. Now haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. It's a tough life we merchants undergo, and we don't give a damn how hard the winds blow. The sailors gave us a bad name. They let us fall through the weary waves. They throw a hatchet in the floor of their boat, and if it doesn't sink, you'll hear them gloat. But if we were out of order, never again would we see the sea. No more, no more, no more. We sail with a northerly gale to our island home in the county of Cork. Our mainmast sprung, our pitching done, fire in our stomachs, salt water in our lungs. Now haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. Up in Landegroats is where we were dealt with Sergeant Croon and his Tipperary officers of the photogenic order. They were a fine bunch of lads, though. They were given to delusional fits of interpretation. Our encounter centered on the family crest, which featured 2 yellow lightning bolts and 4 gallstones removed from the queen, as a reminder that you must suffer to wield authority. The officers objected to the use of the 2 lightning bolts when it had been tradition to either feature 4 or 9. Fortunately, the woman who had designed the crest, the redoubtable Mrs. Klinghoffer, stepped forward and explained that the 2 lightning bolts represented 2 daffodils she picked one morning. She designed the crest and she demanded an apology, considering she had to be removed from her pregnancy training class to explain her motivations. Endless ocean, endless ocean. I moved where I could see you, away from the places I couldn't see through. I threw away my socks and shoes to be waiting at your shore. Endless ocean, endless ocean. My blood is all departed. I stopped the things I'd started. My organs are unguarded. I see your waves get parted by the tide and its rippling mood swings. Endless ocean, endless ocean. You sing so perfectly. I am in love inside the cotton of your warmth. Endless ocean. I'm calm and now I'm here. Your reflection is so clear. The sky is just a mirror, an imitation of you. Endless ocean. I don't need to talk. I found what I have sought. Into you I will walk. Endless ocean. Endless ocean. All right. This is dedicated on dedicated to anyone holding on for holding on for the recount. What can you say? What can you say? Cults are sometimes hard to get into. They are much harder to get out of. What else can you say? This is called Sacrifice the Satellite. Moments before dawn, phone ringing, unable to suss if it was happening from impressions born in shallow sleep while neighbors' lights flicked on in neighbors' windows. Or as the drift seized me back in, we were gun runners trapped in a house, detained by police, threatened by rivals, but I was able to slither out a side door and snuck away to a cafe where I was supposed to summon assistance, but decided instead, the hell with them. I was called to a room. The walls of the hallway were blue, and when I entered, there they sat, looking exactly as they did in 1984. When one spoke, there was no sound from their mouths, but the words synced loudly in my skull. Crushed flowers float downstream in the rainwater, and homemade smokestacks drip steam on half-awake blades of grass. New nuns count the gray hairs of their predecessors as they scan old photographs. Will they question who's alive in heaven? Are their words papering a mountain? They will have a moment where they behold the beauty of an empty screen or unplowed, snow-covered street. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. Thick, shimmering splotches of gray grease liquefy and start to drip down rust-colored walls of skins, watched by a babe with a flashbulb embedded in their wrist, who sits on gouged black and gold tiles in the center of a disused ballroom dance floor among carelessly flung piles of metal-pronged monitors, cords, discs, spilled coffee grounds, broken vodka bottles, and asymmetrical platinum wigs. Every year there's a whisper the inventory will get a clean transfer. Winston Dubois knew the recovered money was wrapped in a mosquito net and secured in the back of a carriage. The horse stopped in front of an Air Force base, which got inadvertently captured on videotape, with the footage dissected by theorists for decades. Desmond Hampton learned Tony Chamberlain had double-crossed him as he drank milk and clapped erasers together outside his classroom. His signature had been forged and hidden throughout the system. The younger best brother thinks, if only I were a CEO buying companies whose names I don't know and could leverage my credibility to simultaneously flaunt my status and champion myself as an obscurity. The older best brother thinks, if only I were an oligarch and had a tapestry of machinery to do what I want, live in seclusion, invest in rare art, and pay for a hooker who looks like my daughter. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. The beams of starshine light land everywhere and leave valley-wide fingerprints for 7 years. Minute glass tubes can shiver without bursting, squidding, while glistening diamonds laid out on linen, spirals scrawled on maps with the location leading inside a puzzle box, while fungus slides up to a microscope and mixes with vinegar and bleach. Circles of sapphires line the linoleum tile, with a surface so improbably clear it mimics a screen. Lost in a world between are the souls who only dream when looking up. Okay out there. This is also dedicated to everybody holding out, waiting for the recount. It's called Sympathy for the Cowboy. Sympathy for the Cowboy, all alone on the range. After the war ended, he was forced to change his name. Sympathy for the Cowboy, holding his dying brother, who begged with his last breath, "Tell mother I died with honor." Sympathy for the meth lab and all who fight in harm's way, who hope to abolish a minimum wage and charge only $15 a day. Sympathy for modern times and those who argue they're right. Sympathy for the victim, who already has all of the laws on their side. Sympathy for the student who's only lived in theory in a hammer and sickle t-shirt, walking away from the barricade. Sympathy for the lawsuit and all who fought for reform. Sympathy for the bumper sticker telling you to be reborn. Sympathy for the stallion, running free and too wild to ride. Sympathy for the guy who tried. His wife cried, him and his foolish pride. Sympathy for the strawberry and the trial separations, press releases pleading for privacy and doing it for the kids. Sympathy for the nihilist, sucking on his cigarette, cutting you off in traffic, no constraints of guilt or regret. Sympathy for the stalker on his computer outside, looking at pictures of you in high school, saving each one, even if it takes all night. Sympathy for the cowboy, whose son moved off the ranch, said he might be coming back soon, if there's no change of plans. Excuse me. It's called A Moderate Man. Is this also dedicated to everyone waiting for the recount, perhaps? Oh, God. Cult members, huh? Is it still a cult when there's 70 million? Or is that a mass delusion? It's strange, isn't it? It's called Moderate Man. I went walking through the morning to enjoy the autumn air, and I came upon a clearing. Some folk from in town greeted me graciously. As they stood waiting, Frank then strode into the center of the circle, with 3 men by his side. Frank abruptly unfolded his note and started speaking. The 3 men reshaped in a line behind Frank, as his inimitable voice intoned. Men in masks shall not live on your land, for they are cowards whose spirits are trapped. Thou art born without caste. Your soul is unshared, and judgment shall not be passed or carried out by committee on your quiet acts. Frank, flanked by the 3 men, then swiftly left, while the crowd collectively shuddered, and there were mutterings of, what Frank giveth doth not equal what he takes, heart of fowl, eyes of a snake, words of an apostate. I followed the trail back to my home, whilst conversing with Pastor Corbett. Upon reaching my front gate, he looked me square in the eye and said, just because I am prone to help my neighbor in good faith, family or friend, that doth not make. This is positively, absolutely dedicated to a person who I think is in Alabama. One person in particular, waiting for the fucking recount. You know who you are. Just 200 miles from where I used to live were the lakes and legends, afternoons crawling the canal, running in circles, scaling fences. Coming home curfewless, lying in bed, stretching your arms out in front of your face, fingers making shapes out of the light, album covers on the wall next to calendars with modern art. Do you remember when we used to work together? We went to the swimming pool and recorded the kids laughing, splashing around to use in a sound collage. Those kids are grown-ups now. We went to the quarry and watched the slabs of rocks being hauled away by trucks. We'd stay and talk until the time silenced our throats. Those rocks are buildings now. Do you remember when we used to work together? We used to never worry about money, only if there was enough to have fun for the week. Sometimes I think we could be there again. The band played No Side to Fall In, and you clapped and sang along. I used the same words the next night, and you said I was wrong. Do you remember when we used to work together? Standing in your mom's house, her pizza cooling in the kitchen, your hair enclose a ragged curtain, playing your guitar, glorious crystalline shards. You asked me to write a brass score. I figured it couldn't be that hard. Do you remember when we used to work together? How are we doing out there? Doing good. Good. All right. Excuse me. And that was not a yawn. I think this is a good time to read this one. Don't do it that often. Don't know why. It's good though. Of course. It's called Swim to the Center. When I wasn't, I was offensive, outside the wave, weak without a mission, never gaining strength. Why not? Yes. The river slithers, the confession pathetic, center of the solid rock punched clear through. Only a human with a circuit, a sky with breath. The order must be ignored. Action in full action. I am ready. Are you going to swim to the center or waste your time in space? Do you know that your energy lasts forever, or are you convinced you should be stuck in one place? So what are you going to do? Protect your ego and hide in some group? We're free, and so are you, and you better understand that, because if not, we're all through. Are you going to swim to the center, or choose not to act? Are you going to deny and try and feel better, or create a load of crap that no one gets? What are you going to do? Lie behind shame, slogans, flags, and fake facts? We're here, and so are you, and you better understand that, because if you don't, we're all through. What I see is invisible. We see together. What I feel is immeasurable. We feel together. What we make is untouchable. It's for the future. What we are is infinite. It's in the universe. Remember, wind is everywhere. Remember to smile at the air. Remember, you build each star. Remember to smile in the dark. This is one from a book I did in 1998 with the great Kristen Lee. This is called Dyslexia. It's pretty short. Thoughts of the apocalypse are just a projection of pain. And while we're at it, I'll also do Edict. It is possible to be singularly focused on everything. this is one I always love doing, and I'm very proud of. This is, of course, Slow Boat to China. The razor skin fell on the seat. The roof had been gouged out by a key. The exits were guarded. A few numbers were written down. All of them typed out in a foreign language. All of them the product of inflation. The casino slot machines paid out with surf music in a 20-minute ring. The plumber knocked on the last room of the far wing and was tipped with uneaten meat. I keep trying to leave, but I only get more inside. I made it out of the garage, only to be struck behind a foreigner with $1,000 hubcaps on a $50 car. A girl climbed up the mic and before she got numb, asked them how they could stand the climate. She was from California, never got snowed on before, didn't get stopped by trains 25 miles to 20 miles to 5 miles, then down to 3, ranging from dour to catatonic to irate, to fully asleep. Can't tell a building from a train. Everyone drives through, though, except for me. I stopped the frame. I took the wrong exit, driving into the marching band display, and wrote my senator complaining to his face, and he wrote back, saying, "Yes, son, it's about time we did things your way." Everybody's an altar boy looking for a lampshade to make straight, some Sunday spending money, a free robe, a thimble out of the river because they made their case. Trees grow faster in the city, according to the study. The nutrients depleted my body. No electricity is going to open that door. Ice is slow and not enough to keep my attention. My attention. Everyone acting like an altar boy, dragging their disagreements out into the streets, stopped, slow and coy, using their vestments for sheets. A few quick turns and pleas for a reward, but the holding cell is empty and I don't choose to open it today. I paid to replace the battery and canceled my appointments. The dentist charged me a late fee. The neighbor watched his lawn instead of the TV. And here's the moral of the story, so pay attention. I put my dinner in a glass and filled it with water, drank half and left the rest. I threw in some safety pins to see how fast they'd rust, and after 6 months, there were still no results. Amen to that. Maybe I just have a really strange sense of reality, but when people say that they don't understand what I'm writing about, I always think, no, a lot of this it's all pretty clear. I don't think a lot of it's terribly obscure. This one isn't terribly obscure. This is about a real person. Her name is in the title. She will never know that this was written about her. But it is, in fact, about a real person. This is, of course, Allison, where the blue sea and icebergs are. She's ice cream, and there she's down the hall. She uses words like everything and all. I can hear her, but I can't make out her features. I know she spends her weekends in a cement cinema making notes. The girl next to her tries to see what she wrote. Allison wonders why the guy in the elevator keeps glancing at her and wondering why the weather keeps jumping between rain and sun every 30 minutes. She keeps saying, "Quit asking me questions. I'm the one that's innocent," as people assume she's joking. Allison wonders, what are the windows thinking on a day where there's a white line down the center of the sky? Her mind cuts back to the guy on the elevator with a quick look at me, look at you. We are equals. Allison wonders if she can keep hiding while knowing that they're following me. Allison writes, "What started as hopes are now observations, mostly about nature, and being young stops being fascinating once it's done." Allison looks down at her bowl of spinach, and her eyes focus down on the details of one leaf, and she quietly speaks. An atheist sees this and can only think of the mud it grows from. Allison writes, "We extend grace out of our own sense of grace," and smiles because she's not sure if that's something of her own or something that she's half remembering from 2 or 3 incarnations ago. Allison considers why her back and hands are so slippery when she's invisible, and then tells her sister, "My tongue is a graffiti sponge. I wonder if I'll have to make love in front of a judge." Allison considers that she's a character who looks and acts just like her, and then draws a bath with the lights off. Allison invites her guests to walk barefoot while cherries and red confetti float out of her phone. Allison considers emptying cash registers if the security cameras lose power, but what she mostly wants are completely natural segues with no artificial blends. So with that, make thoughts your aim or nerve blaming when all meet with you at your beginnings. But make allowances for their worn-out tools and make dreams a trap for fools after they are gone. Here's one that I'm particularly fond of. Actually, we're going to do one before that. It's called Canary Milk. Sweltering sun in the forecast, but it's raining right now. Retired teens nostalgic for holograms as their granddads watch rocks roll around on the ground and wonder when they can be farmers in glass pods on Mars. While Amanda eats factory fresh candies and laughs jaggedly at vulgar stories. The boy who awoke in the toy aisle one evening moved more elegantly than his mother had ever seen as he picked items off a worn, well-folded list before deciding he'd rather have a pet eel instead. While Amanda watches her neighbors bickering and daydreams deleted scenes from their past. The delivery man is ready for the weekend as he ignores reports on the European heat wave, instead marveling about the new house on his route and how much it must cost each month to keep the swans fed and the water in the lagoon fresh. While Amanda feels no urgency to call back her agency and laughs at people voluntarily photographing their chores. Yes. Beautiful. We good? We good. All right, this is... Always got to check the connection. All right, this is called I'm Dancing with the Skeleton Key. I'm dancing with a skeleton key pinned under my belt the night after I'd had two simultaneous dreams in ocular split screen, one where a white-tailed fawn galloped to the front door and another where my brother couldn't sleep. I'm dancing with the skeleton key tied on a twine cord around my neck, remembering when my sister was locked in a minivan and stranded in a parking lot outside of Austin. She kissed the windows and ate the tape left in the cassette deck. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my unopened mouth tucked behind my wisdom teeth and obscured by my tongue. I have memories that my sister still won't believe, and I miss the 20th century. It could have all been done so much better. I'm dancing with the skeleton key scotch taped to my arm. When I was in school, the vice principal gave himself a heart condition, trying to figure out who had stolen from the convenience store and then boasted about it on the blackboard. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in the grotto of a dilapidated Catholic church, where the priest once confessed to me that after each funeral he performed, the only way he could raise his spirits was by making uneasy music with the organist. I'm dancing with the skeleton key concealed in an alley while bells chime at midnight near the railroad and kids with no curfew dodge between dashing headlights on their way to play hide and seek in the park. I'm dancing with the skeleton key laid on the floor of a garage while my brother draws out diagrams on poster boards connecting lines from consequences of thoughts to isolated islands of thinking divided by unintended regressions of actions. I'm dancing with the skeleton key while I am safe at home looking at sealed bags of clothes I stopped wearing years ago while I was running for mayor on an unconfirmed platform of leaking information about the governor. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in an adjacent office because the evidence my brother uncovered just got delivered to the lawyer and he predicts it will make the judge jump and remove any condemnation from his mouth. I'm dancing with a skeleton key in a strip mall that used to be a swimming pool, and before that a man-made hill that covered demilitarized waste trucked over from a Floridian base, and it will still take 100,000 years before any of it reaches its half-life. I'm dancing with the skeleton key clasped tightly in my hand as I watch my sister in the mirror speak sentences using only one word and plant orchids next to power lines in the backyard. Then she dots the driveway with empty jars to accurately measure the rainfall. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my pocket moving loosely with me. My brother used to cry bitterly to our parents every time he got a ticket, refuting each offense, denying that he did any of it. I'm dancing with the skeleton key sliding uncomfortably in my shoe, but the nuisance helps give me the presence of mind to always hold up what I was taught, that when the rent is due, it's better to be full and well slept than just hand over a blank check. I'm dancing with a skeleton key pressed into a book, watching leaves in the wind and a novelist at a press conference performing fake sign language, hoping it will get him the attention he wants for trying to revive the printed word. Doing okay out there? Good. That's what we like. I wasn't going to perform this one, but I will because there are a number of people in my life that are being... this is not about politics or anything. This is not about the wider world. It's about people I actually know. And they're being affected by ridiculously the ridiculously convoluted ravings of ideologues with no connection to reality and false support of humanity. That's a diplomatic way of putting it. So, this piece uses one. It's not directly, of course, about the military-industrial complex, but it uses a way of talking about one abuse of power to discuss a different type of an abuse of power. And it is a question that at some point we all have to answer. This is, of course, called Would You Sell the Relics? The general that only cares about tomorrow also expects everyone to echo the same expression. When the general can no longer see the power of their influence, they try and exert control over any small circumstance under their command. While the brigadier general worries to no one if they need a transfusion. The colonel, who's concerned that not enough people's fingerprints matches theirs, requires a warning on the front page of each report, along with a summary cut together by a subordinate in a matter of minutes, so they don't have to waste any energy generating contradictory thoughts. While the captain enters their coordinates so their location is known and updated every moment, which leaves the captain free to make discoveries like the wheel or gravity, then sell their findings to the executives or campaign staff of their choice, urged by a strong sense of benevolence, a tribute to charity as a force. And the first lieutenant's unmatched love of history is proven by the pictures taken of their parents with Goebbels in Brazil in the 70s. And the second lieutenant's jealousy shows and grouses to one, "That's not Goebbels, it's clear it's Martin Bormann." The sergeant major that reset the standards for esprit de corps doesn't know the panic they'll feel a few short years later when they are urged out of the way, or that they'll become stiff with resentment and resolute in their calls for punishment and institute measures to monitor how the company behaves. While the staff sergeant writes on a photo of themselves, "The future points to you," and daydreams about collecting the remaining virginities from the sorority house down the road, and they already have the names, ages, and weights in a frequently updated database. Then the staff sergeant complains about commercials before content. The chief warrant officer who breaks ranks to research the order the alphabet was created in gets rueful about seeing themselves age and attending charity events, funerals, and hospital visits, seeing their face in the mirror more washed out than before, wondering as they write their commencement address who will even be paying attention in the audience, drinking from puddles, seeing what the sky says, not being able to read, handwriting. And to the private, it's all an eye roll, and all so boring and shallow to see another round of legacy shut out by an offhand remark. The private doesn't ask any of the officers where they should start. What's the matter where rebellion is kitsch and trauma is Walmart? The specialist greets the private. They each think the other is a dilettante. And later the specialist considers, what's the matter where you have 1,000 followers and not a dozen supporters? Would you sell the relics? All right, this is one that I don't do very often because I have read it so much in my life, but I think tonight feels like a decent time to pull this one out. Wrote this when I was, how old would I have been? I would have just turned 18. This is called Epileptical Illusion. I have a syntax error, a frolicking banshee beast that won't leave me alone when I'm sleeping, when I'm eating, when I'm obliviended. Like a cloud conforming to the heat, I have a syntax error that gnaws my blood cells and steals my fire. Swing distilling and apoplexic shaking, flat-earthed and triangle-hipped, withdrawn, postponed, and resequenced. I have a syntax error stolen from my programs, the lethargic constraints laughing at my fits, calculating slits of immortality, wrapping iron-lunged wings beyond the point of computation, boiling plasmatic revelation. I have a syntax error that cackles like a spitfly at every ounce of acne that belongs to my frame, cajoling the frenzy, consoling the dichotomy, cluttering the dirge into cellophane equivalency and carefully crafted objectivity. I have a syntax error that justifies everything I want, that tells me what to do, that tells me there's sincerity to prove, that opens up my stomach when I'm dreaming and fantasizes about infecting my acrylic soul. I have a syntax error, galloping malapropism, grafting its image inside me, laughing insidiously all around me, speaking in tongues until I don't know what to say. I have a syntax error, a spine-charred perpendicular presence of constricted paranoia that captivates my logic and obstructs my magnetically pollinated points of progression. I have a syntax error that doesn't breathe, that doesn't bleed, but gravitates in parallel lines from heart to head, producing a gelatinous strain of indecisiveness, forgetting the trains of time and the tracks in my mind. I have a syntax error that doesn't want to leave, that nightmares my DNA, that I'm slowly peeling away before I fall prey to its fangs, and I'm nothing but a machine with a syntax error. I was taking a shower this morning, and I was thinking about that piece, and I was thinking about how it's weird that I don't read it more often on here, and that was, I used to read it so much that it was sort of mine. It was like, it was personal in a way that a lot of my work isn't. And then I thought, and I was like, oh, I should do it more often. And then I thought, well, it's a little weird when you're 43 to read something from when you were 18 that often. You don't need to go there all the time. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just funny how that stuff works. But it's also nice to know that when I was 18, I wasn't an idiot. There are worse ways to document one's life. All right, this is one that I've been reading a lot lately. I'm very fond of it, and this, of course, is broadcast on ARC Technologies, and this piece, of course, quotes the titular ARC in ARC Technologies. That would, of course, be Van Arc, and this is when he's doing his remarkable Larry Graham impression. If anyone's seeing this and has not heard Van do his Larry Graham impression, it is well worth hearing, because it is spectacular. So the line that I quote is it's the apex of manifestation, which I love. It's fucking great. So this is an old favorite. Oh, because it's become an old favorite. It's only a few years old, but this is called White Cello. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch, and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface. I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though, because I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her, was the simplest thing you said today. I'm still reeling with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscope, so I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments, eating vegetables every night, but planning, you already know, and then you talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat, your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds, my misjudgments are my own and most are unknown, and just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean that I'll let just any motherfucker abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me. I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the stolen car, then got out and ran for it. But I can behave for over 100 days, and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to take lessons to play at all. But I'm sure that you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. We're holy rollers without a religion. No, we're not. And don't be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour traffic in the morning. I know you are, and you know that I care, and I feel like I'm Clark Kent dressed in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said to me, as long as it's not evil, and I said back to her, I cannot possibly be evil, certainly not right now, but it's the rising sun, it's the hard-boiled egg, it's basil, it's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello. I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. So are we going to wrap this up, or are we going to test people's patience? No, I'm thinking out loud. It's warm communication. And see, that's what I'm talking about. So instead, we'll change some channels. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, and all sunbathers must be wearing a blue suit. You go to the salons and cut off your slanson. It'll be a reverse safari where they put lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and drive them around to show them people shopping and walking down the streets and pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. It won't be in the Bible, but it'll be like the Bible. It'll be the suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars, and you wait under his kitchen table for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? Never heard from before. Advertising space available. Clean, clear water, and of course, the tastiest tomatoes. All right, this is one of my favorites. This is Two Franciscan Nuns. Chewing mint leaves while crossing the Calumet River, the paper mill's exhaust pipes interrupt the vista. Mules waited with surge protectors, hair-spraying cassettes, a riverboat of morphine-addicted ghosts over there on the left. Two Franciscan nuns wanted to build a hospital, but settled for organizing games of chance. In their hotel rooms, they squeeze out extra acidic orange juice and excommunicate people with unpleasant names from the phone book. Two Franciscan nuns helped decorate an admiral in the pensioner's home after he'd misplaced his uniform. They blessed his pills, kissed his parakeet, and as he slept, gathered sets of his false teeth to sell at the swap meet. A brain with blood and oxygen is better than a fish who talks. What some people see as skin discoloration is in fact the natural pigmentation when viewed from the inside. Some newspapermen have always known this, and indeed, they have nothing to hide. So true. We'll do another one. This is from Radar Grain, one of my favorites. This is Painter, not Painter. Well, it's just Painter. He walked all day to the UK, found some money on the floor, and was on his way. He knew the book was blasted, so he saw through the murk. A little sinister, a lot of charming, made him do his work. Well, the painter couldn't stop painting over the image he'd made. It had been perfect before, but now it's just on display. He broke a chair and started to shout, "You have no idea what my art is all about!" Now he knows all the presidents and can say them all in a row, and in India he walked real slow. Some mountains, some architects and trees, and he fell on his knees and got the picture in mind. But he forgot his sketchbook and left it all behind. Now he dates a lady with rubies in her ear. The papers say he's idle, but that's not what she hears. There's no more brushes or messy oils on the floor. He's a sculptor now, and he gives his spare marble to her. So that's the story of the painter who ate hamburgers in bed, went to make the scene, and forgot where he put the thread. Alright, this is sort of in the home stretch now. This is a poem about freedom, truly. This is an old one. Hope you like it. This, of course, is Neil and Bobby Socket to Me. Actually, we are going to do one more. We're going to do one we've never done before. Actually, now that I'm really thinking about it. I want to do one more. I just have to remember what book it's in. I do it so infrequently. I think maybe I've only read it once ever. And it's in a very long book. It's like dead smack in the middle, apparently. I appreciate your patience. Come on. Here we go. All right, this is from 1999. This is called The Asexual Blues. I fell asleep last night. I woke up and looked down in disgust, because just like a Ken doll, it was all smooth in the front. I got the asexual blues. I told myself to stop it. I told myself to quit, but I just kept going all night. Now I'm 2 months pregnant. I got the asexual blues. I wouldn't leave myself alone, so I went to a doctor for help, but he just made me go to court and file a restraining order against myself. I got the asexual blues. I had my parents over to see if they'd help me out, but they called over a TV crew, so now I can't leave my house. I got the asexual blues. I can't get in no relationship, couldn't meet any new friends, so now I just sit home all the time, having solo one-night stands. I got the asexual blues. And now we'll do Deal with Puppies Talking to Me. I greet the puppies with a smile and attempt to comb my hair for a while. I idle my time on a red velour sofa. It's not mauve, it's not puce, it doesn't look anything like you. It's ugly, it's red, it's got plastic cushions. I spilled my apple juice on that sofa. Or is it a love seat? Or is it a futon? It might be a bidet for all I can see, but whatever the hell it is, I don't want to sleep on it or eat your chocolate cake anywhere near it. I don't even want to go in your house, because your dog humps my leg and your boyfriend picks my teeth and your dad chews my eyelash, and there's not 1 inch of floor space clean enough to lick. You turn my water brown. You see now, Granddad dresses like a clown. He's got a big red nose that's not nearly as revolting as that sofa. So by the way, I'm not coming over tonight, so quit following me down the hall and hitting on me in the toilet stall, because any house with that much Elvis on velvet won't find me on their front porch swing or their Norman Rockwell painting. But maybe I will drop by dressed in armor and a satin hat with some flowers for the maid and cocktails for the cat that never got me in the sack and a muzzle for that goddamn dog. And I'll cut out your nose hair and put it on your pancakes and yell, "Supper is served," so the butler can take a night off and throw some darts at Granddad. And for dessert, I'll serve pigs in a blanket garnished with spaghetti Suzette with some lighter fluid and lock your ma's pubic hair to torch that fucking sofa to the ground, because it ain't Art Deco no matter how hard you try to swing it, and the vinyl siding may go up in flames, but it really ain't Little Pink Houses after all, now is it, Toots? Now, this is a party of colors. Her eyes open while she pretends that she can still feel her fontanelle. She thought she might be a post person or her own cousin, so she read the news. Fear of law and God and man, an infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic, infinite dynamic loop. She was one image at a time, so she thought that she must be a person, right? She wrote some news. Platitudes aren't solutions and fill space between waves. Now I'm new, and she also knew that the feeling of being new was something that she could always circle back around to. It's the sort of thing that you get with with wisdom as you age. One more time. She was one image at a time, so she thought she was a person, right? She wrote some news. Platitudes aren't solutions and fill space between waves. Now I'm new. She also knew that the feeling of being new was something she could always circle back around to. This is Honeybee 12345. Like a coral pink butterfly heading to me, you're looking through your jeweled eyes, and I'm waiting for your surprise. A birthday card, an aquarium hung on the wall, a memory in a vein swimming around, arriving late to hear a favorite song, flying like a honeybee that counts the flap of its wings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. Bubbles on the honeycomb coming together in unusually warm weather. Honeybee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keeping everything else alive. And now, and now, and now, and now, and now. It's always, all the time. Now then, now then, now then. The present is in the future. History is present. The future is present. The present is history is history. We see the future pushed to the foreground wonderfully. All three, you and me. And as God bless you, Diane, you once said, I hope our future is like flying birds. The weather is in the sea. Gravityless moment caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. There is very little in life that matches what I feel when you smile back at what I whisper back to you. We're in the room and out of nowhere looking at the inlet together in letters and circles. Like a slit in a curtain, like a fluttering bird. bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I am with you always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a streetlight breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans, always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention imagined. We are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a licked stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours, always, all the time. And that, folks, wraps up another exciting edition of the quarantine stream. And we hope that you've enjoyed it. Fairly certain we will be back next week. As always, stay safe, stay smart, stay free, because you already are. See? Beautiful. And now we will wrap things up with the theme song again. Lovely. All right, everyone. God bless. Till next week. Until then, goodbye.